One. Am I live? I am live. Let's go. My handy dandy toothpick is going to sit right over there because we are here tonight on a beautiful Friday the 13th to talk about the science of stress relief and cold exposure. It's been a very hectic week in global politics, and I know a lot of people are feeling the stress. So I wanted to go over ways that you can learn about stress relief and the science of it and cold exposure. We're going to go over that. But first, I need to check. There's good. I just got to check the multiple platforms that we are streaming on right now. I am feeling pretty chill myself right now, and I am going to talk to you. Whoop. All right, that's working. Let's see. Sorry about that. All right. We're going to talk about the science of stress relief. I got a few scientific studies here. I am feeling pretty chill and relaxed right now. And I felt like I would come on right now and share some of that with you. So if you're here right now, thank you very much for watching. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe and follow me on whatever platform you are watching. And make sure to check out speckerhealth.com. That is my company. And you can take the new Specker Health Assessment. And you can also check out the Specker Library, which is full of summaries of scientific studies that you can read about. And we're going to read about some of those studies tonight. And like I said, those studies are going to be related to stress relief. And you can also read more about these studies and more in relation to this topic and other topics in regards to ingredients, lifestyle, and health on speckerhealth.com. So let's see. All right. And if you are here right now just joining us, say what's up. Tell me how you're feeling. Tell me how you're doing in the comments. It has been a pretty wild week. A lot has been exposed, a lot has been seen in the world. And if you want to learn more about that, I'm streaming multiple times a week right now. You can check out my last few streams where I have been talking about what's been going on primarily with Israel and Palestine, which is usually always an American issue, considering how America or how the United States government postures in that conflict. And things are getting pretty hot right now. I'm not really going to talk about that right now, but I'm going to talk about the science of stress relief. So while you're having these conversations and debates, you can balanced in your life. These things are stressful, so if you're here right now, say what's up, and I'm going to be here and read these studies to you. It's going to be a few different studies that I'm going to be reading about tonight, and if you want to read those studies afterwards, or if you're watching during the stream right now, head on to speckerhealth.com and go to the library there. And also, shout out to the sponsor of tonight's video, which is also Specker Health. Speckerhealth.com. The sponsor of this video is myself. So please check out Specker and support my business. All right, let's continue on. And so there are two studies that I'm going to talk about primarily today. One is a study that was about stress relief without harmful side effects and how CBD proved to be as effective as multiple pharmaceutical drugs in multiple different clinical trials. So, when people use the not enough research argument about the endocannabinoid system or CBD or what stress is, the science of stress relief, we're going to talk about all that today. So there is plenty of research on these topics, and you just have to kind of dive deep into the science yourself to learn this stuff. And that's why I'm talking about it tonight, because it is very difficult if you don't do science for a living to even come across these studies. Let's see. We got a doula here in the chat that says, tuning in as I'm driving to the gym. Just took my Specker Energy. Ooh, that is I'm going to take some Specker Deep Recovery right now to get this going. Good job on driving to the gym and taking Specker Energy as a pre-workout is something I do as well. So cheers. Cheers. You can also get Specker Deep Recovery at speckerhealth.com. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't done so in a minute, make sure to go grab yourself some water and potentially mineralize it by yourself with my favorite, Redmond's Real Salt. I am not sponsored by them, but this company is from a single salt mine in Utah. So this is technically American grade pink salt. Beats, foreign Himalayan pink salt. And a lot more transparency too. You don't really know where your Himalayan salt is coming from, but this stuff, very easily verifiable. You can go to the salt mine yourself. I don't know if you can directly go there yourself, but you can see where it is yourself. All right. So the other study that I'm going to talk about tonight is the science of extreme cold exposure. Now, this is a Wim Hof study, and if you're practicing your breath work regularly, you probably know who Wim Hof is and may know what the Wim Hof Method is. And this study shows the endocannabinoid system's role in the benefits of the Wim Hof Method, and the endocannabinoid system being the master regulatory system of the entire human body that controls nearly all human physiology. And that's the awesome thing about the Wim Hof Method, is that through the scientific studies that they did with Wim Hof, he really started proving the role of the endocannabinoid system in many different physiological functions, like the extreme cold exposure, which we are going to get to. So if you're just joining us right now, say what's up, leave your comments in the chat, and I will read them as we go. So let me pull up the study for you. So I'm just going to pull up this study and then, just have it back here, and I'm going to just read about it. So you can, I'll have the abstract there. You'll be able to read about it. And let me just pull that up right now. So, like I said, I'm going to be talking about these two studies on stress relief today. If you've been stressed out this week, then might be a good time to integrate breath work and CBD into your lifestyle, which is something that really helps me manage and balance my stress levels. Because as we'll see, stress can be biologically described, and that can be done primarily through the lens of the endocannabinoid system as the primary regulator for these feelings. So let me pull this up right now for y'all here. And like I said, if you want to read about these, you can go to speckerhealth.com, go to the Specker library, and you can go read all about this stuff yourself. But in the meantime, I am going to read it and read some, summarize it for you. And let's see. Let me pull this up for y'all real quick. Share screens. So I've been streaming here multiple times a week now, y'all, and we're starting to gain traction, streaming on multiple platforms, but shout out to the free speech platforms, Rumble and Twitter is proving itself more and more by the day, but also does some, out of pocket shit every once in a while as well, which has been a little questionable, but it can't be perfect, I guess, right? So, all right, let me pull this on up right here. Boom. Sharing the screen. All right. Let's see. All right. Oh, it's right over there. Perfect. Perfect. So, as you see right over here, we have this study, which is the first one that we're going to talk about today. And the title of this study is Enhancing Endocannabinoid Control of Stress with Cannabidiol, which is CBD. And you can read the abstract yourself, which is right there next to you. Or let me actually make this bigger for you all. Boom. And like I said, if you're listening to this right now and not watching, if you do want to read the abstract of this study while I'm going over it, you are free to do so. Boom, right there, right big on the screen right now. And I am going to talk a little bit about this study. This, like I said, the title of this study is Enhancing Endocannabinoid Control of Stress with CBD. And this is a study from 2021. And like I said, you could read the abstract on the screen right now. And the awesome thing about this study, if you do want to read through the whole thing, this is a pretty awesome study. So, and it's important to note as well that this is a scientific review. So it's a compilation of multiple studies to come to this conclusion that these researchers have come to. So if you're just joining us right now on the live stream, say what's up, ask your questions. We're talking about the science of stress relief and cold exposure. All right, so this 2021 scientific review that looked into the current research on CBD and its potential to reduce the harmful effects of stress showed promising results. CBD is an endocannabinoid system regulator and enhancer that can modulate the primary regulator of the stress response, the endocannabinoid system, which, as I mentioned earlier, is the physiological system of the human body that is the master regulatory system, say the master key, the root for your human physiology. Controls nearly everything in your body. So the level of endocannabinoid tone can increase or decrease how much stress one feels. Endocannabinoid tone, that's a very important one to remember. And CBD has been shown to reduce stress by modulating the system. So let's check right here. I'll take a little water break real quick. Another reminder to go drink some water if you have not done so already. The thing with drinking water is even when you know you need to drink your water, it's just hard to remember. Sometimes I'll do these streams. I have to remind myself to drink the water because I'm just going for so long and you just forget. So you got to have that discipline to remind yourself. So, all right, let's continue on this right here. I was just talking about endocannabinoid tone. That's a very important. So, chronic deficiency in endocannabinoid tone is associated with the pathological complications of chronic stress, which is today referred to as clinical endocannabinoid deficiency. Therefore, CBD may be a valuable solution for maladaptive stress responses and the endocannabinoid system, which deserve more attention from clinicians and researchers alike. The review yielded promising results with several clinical trials demonstrating that CBD is just as effective as pharmaceutical drugs in reducing stress related symptoms. This 2021 scientific review focuses on the results of 7 double blind, placebo controlled clinical trials of CBD for stress involving a total of 232 participants and one partially controlled study on 120 participants, all of which showed that CBD significantly reduced stress response and was non inferior to pharmaceutical comparators. So, CBD significantly reduced stress response and was non inferior to pharmaceutical comparators, which means that it was about the same. And it means it wasn't worse. So, stress is a prevalent issue that can cause a range of physical and mental health problems, and current treatments often fall short. However, this highlights the potential for CBD as a valuable solution to address maladaptive stress responses and the endocannabinoid system, both of which require greater attention from clinicians and researchers. So, just got to check the chat real quick and see that everything is boom, working fine. I'm the only one here right now, and I gotta make sure that all the streams are a-okay through this entire process. So if you are watching right now, say what's up, leave a comment, like this video, give me a follow, and let me know what you want to hear about next time. I'm here talking multiple times a week about health and politics. So let's chat. All right, let's continue chatting. All right. So, several double blind, placebo controlled clinical trials have demonstrated that CBD can significantly reduce the stress response and its manifestations, including anxiety, fear, depression, and burnout. Two of these clinical trials even included a comparator arm with benzodiazepines and or 5-HT1A receptor agonist. 5-HT1A is serotonin 1A receptor. So, I talk about neurotransmitter systems a lot and how people really misrepresent serotonin and dopamine and blah blah blah. It's like, when you say serotonin, what receptor are you talking about? What is going on? 5-HT serotonin 1A and serotonin 2A receptor do very different things. So, okay, and both showed that CBD effects were comparable to that of the pharmaceutical drugs. So that's essentially they're saying that they used benzos and CBD was just as effective. This means that CBD could be a safe and effective alternative to conventional medications for individuals experiencing stress related symptoms. So, to continue, like I said, I have the study in the background, and you can go read the study. You can read more about this study on speckerhealth.com. The link for this exact study is at speckerhealth.com as well. Or you can literally just Google the study title, endocannabinoid control of stress with cannabidiol, PubMed, and then click the link. So if you're ever wondering where you can read about these studies, if you ever see the study title that somebody's talking about, just go type in the study title onto Google with PubMed next to it, and you'll more than likely get a result. All right. Where was I? Let's see. I gotta say, y'all, Twitter has been pretty cracking recently. So if you're watching and you're not really on Twitter right now, that place is wild. Rumble also, wow, what a great experience. Essentially, it's all the content that has been blocked from places like Instagram and Facebook for years, that's been really hard to come across unless you go out of your way to look for it. But Twitter's suggested feed now is, imagine if it feels like this. The functionality of TikTok on giving you what you demand without the censorship, which means you're going to get much more of a full spectrum of content than if you're on a highly controlled platform. So in the UK, more than 10% of adults have tried CBD, while in the USA, there were over 6 million online searches for CBD in just a month. And now I'm reading you my summary of this entire study. This study is pretty lengthy. And here, I'll show y'all. Look at this. So this is about the stress response. It goes very in depth. So, I read through these studies. Look at that. When they say there isn't enough research, like they know the almost exact mechanisms of action of what's going on here. Not enough research, they keep saying. So as you see, this is a pretty in-depth study, a lot of big science words, and I go through, read it multiple times sometimes so I can better understand it. And from there, I summarize it, and we are talking about the summary right now. So going back to the very top, so if you're just tuning in, you could actually read this abstract with us as I am talking about the summary of these scientific studies. So this one is about stress relief and CBD and the science of the endocannabinoid system. So if you're just joining us right now on the stream, say what's up, leave your comments. I am going to be here reading to you about the science of stress relief. And the next study I'm going to read about to you is about the Wim Hof Method, cold exposure, stress relief, and the endocannabinoid system. I love that study. It's actually, I think it's a case report. It's not that one that I'm going to read. It's not a clinical trial, but the reason I chose this one is because it's the one out of the Wim Hof studies that I've read and that have the most discussion about the endocannabinoid system. So that's why I chose that one. But there are a handful of other clinical trials on the Wim Hof method. Like I said, I was very surprised when I even heard when I read the studies and I saw in there that it says endocannabinoids. Whoa. So that's, with me, it's so awesome to study the endocannabinoid system and then connect the dots to find that the endocannabinoid system is so expansive that even these amazing feelings that you are having when you are doing these breathwork sessions like the Wim Hof method, that is being regulated by the endocannabinoid system. So, hey, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing? I am currently streaming on multiple platforms right now. So if you are not watching on Rumble, YouTube, or Twitter, please follow me there, especially Rumble. Amir Zen is my channel at Amir Zen Official. So let's see. Hey, what is up, my guy? All right, so we're talking about the science of stress relief and cold exposure, which has to do with the endocannabinoid system, as I'm sure you know. All right, so in the UK, more than 10% of adults have tried CBD, while in the USA, there were over 6 million online searches for CBD in just 1 month. A significant number of people in the UK, USA, Denmark, and New Zealand who use CBD for medicinal purposes use it for stress relief, which eliminates with estimates ranging between 35 and 65%. Moreover, over 90% of people who have tried CBD for stress relief report feeling less stressed, with no one reporting an increase in stress levels. Okay. No one. So it is a stress reliever for all of those people who reported it. Not one said it did the opposite. And a lot of people would listen to those statistics and say, "Wow, CBD is probably such a great business to be in, and it must be so profitable." Let me tell y'all, it's not. To to do cannabis, to be in the cannabis industry today, your primary driver has to be an absolute love and passion for what you're doing. And for me, it's helping people reclaim their health and making it easy for people to be healthy. And this like speckered deep recovery here, this is 3,000 milligrams of CBD that I use in this product. And I use CBD as my primary supplement. So that being said, just because I make products with these cannabinoids doesn't mean that it's easy. So many people that are looking from the outside in of this industry think that it is like rainbows and unicorns, and it's so wild because it's literally the exact opposite. It is, again, you're not doing this for money. You're doing this because you love what you're doing and you have a purpose that's greater than having an easier life and making more money easier, which is other industries. But being in the cannabis industry and working with cannabinoids like THC or CBD, it's just so rewarding because you get to see the direct benefits in your own health and the health of your loved ones, your community, and the world. So, I don't do this for money. That's why I do it. And then the thing too is that if everybody leaves the cannabis industry, then who's going to be left? We got to keep our businesses going as much as we can if you're in the industry, because it just is a net positive with the products and the compounds ingredients that we're providing for the world. And there's so much demand for these compounds, and the supply is not matching what the real demand is. And the real demand is, you go talk to anybody um, in almost any part of the world, and there is demand for cannabinoid based products in whatever form that demand is, but that demand is everywhere. That being said, that's why it's a weird balance being in the industry because there's all these benefits, but then on the other side, it's government. The government and the policies just make it so that it's not treated like other industries. I believe that the policy position for the United States government that would be the most efficient would be one where the cannabis plant is regulated the same as corn, tomatoes, soy, just regular crops, just or major crops in the United States, which don't have that much regulation, and they're very easy to work with. If you want to take corn and convert it into some pharmaceutical drug, use some compound and biosynthesize it and turn it into some pharma drug, then that's different, right? But just the growing and the handling of the plant, the fact that it's differentiated is not rooted in science at all. So I'd say that would be the easiest way to go from where we are now to making this more easy and accessible for the businesses and the consumers. Um, so to continue, cannabis has been used for centuries to reduce the physiological and psychological effects of stress, and CBD appears to be the component responsible for these effects. So, one of the reasons that people Actually, I'm just going to continue reading this. CBD is common because I'm just going to say the same thing because I wrote this. CBD is commonly used around the world to treat stress, anxiety, and insomnia. Unlike THC, CBD does not act as a competitive inhibitor of the endocannabinoid system and may be more effective and safer for constraining the stress response. CBD acts on several targets, making it more effective and safer than molecules targeting specific receptors, which means THC is a partial agonist to cannabinoid receptor 1. CBD has action on cannabinoid receptor 1, but it works as something called an allosteric modulator, and it doesn't bind directly to the receptor site. It works around the receptor. And that's what this study was talking about, maybe one of the mechanisms of action on why it may not produce anxiety, whereas THC and other compounds that do have affinity directly to binding to that receptor would. So CBD acts on several targets, making it more effective and safer than molecules targeting specific receptors. The stress response is a normal physiological function activated by life events, such as the fight or flight reaction, which mobilizes glucose and increases blood flow to the muscles. Fear, anxiety, and depressive behaviors are normal physiological aspects of the stress response that can enhance mental functions. So let's see. That's just checking right now to make sure all the streams are doing all right. Let's see. We are streaming to 1 million followers. So if you are watching right now, please give your boy a follow. All right, let's continue reading this. Okay. However, if stress is excessive or chronic, it can cause harm and increase the risk of somatic and mental health disorders, including inflammation, pain, gastrointestinal dysfunction, and mental illnesses such as anxiety disorders and depression. Chronic stress is especially harmful and can lead to neurodegenerative diseases, osteoporosis, and suppression of the immune response. Habituation or adaptation of the stress response is important for minimizing the adverse effects from repeated stress. Occupational stress is a significant contributor to the overall impacts of stress, causing a range of negative outcomes, including decreased productivity and increased accidents. Treatment options for stress include pharmacological and psychological approaches such as beta blockers, benzodiazepines, meditation, relaxation, biofeedback, and cognitive and behavioral therapy. But many medications have adverse effects and potential for addiction. Review of 49 clinical trials on CBD, remember, not enough research, including intravenous, inhalation, and oral routes of administration and oral dose ranges of 10 to 1500 milligrams per day. Remember, the government says still not enough research. We need more clinical trials, they say. Found that CBD was well tolerated with a good safety profile. CBD has also been shown to have no potential for abuse or dependence in humans. I'm going to read that again. CBD has also been shown to have no potential for abuse or dependence in humans. So, pretty cool, huh? All right. So the endocannabinoid system is the key regulator of the stress response, and is important for returning the body to a non-stressed state. So you can view the endocannabinoid system as the main balancer of your body. It is the primary homeostatic regulator of your body. So the main balancer. The endocannabinoid system directly inhibits stress-related processes such as fear, anxiety, depressive behaviors, inflammation, hyperalgesia, while promoting behaviors such as feeding and sleep. Cannabinoid 1 and cannabinoid 2 receptors play an important role in regulating the stress response in the body. cannabinoid 1 receptors are primarily found in the central nervous system and are involved in reducing anxiety and constraining the stress response via the HPA, which is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, and the sympathetic nervous system. Cannabinoid receptor 2 are mostly located in immune cells and modulate immune cell migration and cytokine release. Impairments in cannabinoid 1 and cannabinoid receptor, impairments in cannabinoid 1 and cannabinoid 2 receptor signaling can lead to long-term complications of chronic stress, including learning and memory deficits, anxiety disorders, depression, and pain syndromes. So, might be a good idea for the medical world to use the endocannabinoid system as a primary target. But here we are in 2023, and I'm still the only person talking about it in this regards. Acute exposure to stress decreases the inhibitory tone of CB1 signaling, while increased cortisol levels stimulate production of the endocannabinoid 2-AG. And that is one of the primary endocannabinoids, 2-arachidonyl glycerol. Yeah, I believe. Increasing cannabinoid 1 signaling and applying negative feedback inhibition of the stress response. Repeated exposure to stress increases 2-AG levels and habituates the stress response. Chronic stress decreases cannabinoid 1 receptor expression, stress centers of the brain, leading to less feedback inhibition of the HPA axis and continued high levels of cortisol. Now, the Wim Hof Method case report we're going to read connects all of this together as well in these similar systems of the human body. Medications such as fatty acid amide hydrolase inhibitors or endocannabinoid reuptake inhibitors have been shown to prevent adverse effects of chronic stress. CBD increases signaling through cannabinoid 1 and cannabinoid 2 receptors by increasing levels of anandamide, an endocannabinoid that affects mood and stress response. CBD also activates other receptors such as serotonin 1A receptor and PPAR receptors to reduce stress. And the PPAR receptors finding has been pretty wild. So, all right, let's see. To continue on this real quick. So, preclinical studies using animal models, these rodents, have shown that CBD can reduce the effects of acute and chronic stress by increasing CB1 and CB2 signaling. Sorry, cannabinoid. When I say CB1 and CB2, that's cannabinoid receptor 1 and cannabinoid receptor 2. And when we say 5-HT, that would be a serotonin receptor. So 5-HT1A would be serotonin 1A receptor. This is why I write these summaries here, so you don't have to go and spend your time doing it. So, all right, let's check something real quick here. Just checking something. Oopsie. All right. One of our lives just went out real quick, and I'm going to go back and start that live again. Let's see. Boom, boom. All right. All right, we're back. So, as I was saying, just going to read that again. Preclinical studies using animal models have shown that CBD can reduce the effects of acute and chronic stress by increasing CB1 and CB2 signaling and facilitating serotonin 1A receptor mediated neurotransmission. Fatty acid amide hydrolase, or FAAH, inhibition by CBD also plays a role in these effects. CBD has been shown to prevent stress associated anxiety behaviors, decrease hippocampal neurogenesis, or decrease in hippocampal neurogenesis, and prevent the persistence of fear. These effects were only seen in stressed animals, indicating that CBD induces anti-stress rather than anxiolytic effects or anxiety-inducing effects. CBD also acts on serotonin 1A receptors to reduce stress associated anxiety behaviors, heart rate, blood pressure, and fear expression. So, this is a very expansive review. And like I said, I had to read through it multiple times before I wrote this summary. Ugh, it was a lot. Clinical trials have shown that CBD can reduce the stress response and its behavioral manifestations, such as anxiety, fear, and burnout syndrome. Studies have shown that a single dose of CBD ranging from 15 to 60 milligrams can significantly reduce THC induced anxiety and tachycardia, which are part of the stress response. Tachycardia. Sorry. THC induced anxiety and tachycardia, which are part of the stress response. So that's important to know. As you see, there are discussions in here about the different doses, and that is how I've set the Specker products to be CBD that are targeted for specific uses, energy, recovery, sleep. And that is because CBD is biphasic in dosing. And that means that it can have different mechanisms of action at higher or lower doses. So it's important to uh, essentially know what kind of dosing you're using for what purposes. You know, people use a really low dose and then wonder why it doesn't work for sleep the same way as a really high dose does, because it's biphasic in dosing. Um, CBD has also been shown to reduce stress response associated anxiety caused by public speaking and radiological tests, and its actions were stress specific with no effect seen on anxiety measures before the stress response. In addition, CBD may be helpful in normalizing abnormal stress response. A clinical trial with burnout syndrome patients found that 150 milligrams of CBD twice a day for 14 days provided significant decreases in emotional exhaustion and associated symptoms of anxiety and depression. Now, remember, the reason that I'm talking about so many different studies here is because this was a scientific review. It's a compilation of research on this topic about stress, the endocannabinoid system, and CBD. So, two clinical trials of CBD in social anxiety disorder have shown that CBD significantly reduced subjective symptoms of anxiety, cognitive impairment, and performance discomfort. Furthermore, a recent double-blind study on teenagers with social anxiety disorder and avoidant personality disorder showed that 300 milligrams of CBD per day for 4 weeks significantly decreased anxiety compared to placebo. A clinical trial of CBD for patients with anxiety disorder found 25 milligrams of CBD per day to be effective. Now, this is the issue with dosing of CBD, is that you read all these different studies and they're having similar outcomes with different doses, or using the same doses having different outcomes. And this is why I've set personally a dosing standard with my company, using all of this research that I've read and essentially coming up with a perfect medium with this research and anecdotal evidence to see what generally works best for people. So, in healthy volunteers, a single dose of 15 to 60 milligrams of CBD reduced THC induced anxiety, while doses of 30 to 60 milligrams significantly reduced THC induced tachycardia. CBD also significantly lowered stress induced anxiety, caused by simulated public speaking tests, radiological tests, and the trier social stress test in healthy participants. In individuals with burnout syndrome, 150 milligrams of CBD twice a day significantly decreased emotional exhaustion, symptoms of anxiety and depression, and had a medium effect size for treating burnout syndrome. CBD has also been studied in individuals with social anxiety disorder and found to reduce subjective symptoms of anxiety, cognitive impairment, and performance discomfort. A recent double blind study showed that 300 milligrams of CBD per day for 4 weeks significantly decreased anxiety in teenagers with social anxiety disorder and avoidant personality disorder. Low doses of CBD at 25 milligrams per day has also been shown to be effective in treating any anxiety disorder. In conclusion, there is a need for a safe and effective treatment for the stress response. The stress response is a pervasive issue that affects millions of people worldwide and can lead to a range of negative health outcomes. CBD has been shown in multiple clinical trials to be safe and effective in reducing the stress response and its associated symptoms, including anxiety, fear, depression, and burnout. Two clinical trials also showed that CBD was as effective when compared to pharmaceutical drugs in reducing stress. CBD's effectiveness is supported by its widespread use and established mechanism of action. Both maladaptive stress responses and the endocannabinoid system as a therapeutic target deserve further attention, and CBD may be a promising solution to both. Hello, Adam. If you are joining us in the chat, say what's up. Let me know how you're doing. I see we got a handful of people around here. Don't be a lurker. Say hello. All right. So the next study I am going to read about is going to be about the Wim Hof Method and the role of the endocannabinoid system in extreme cold exposure. So when you're doing your ice baths, your cold showers, whatever cold therapy you're doing, here is the science for it. And it's good to know in your journey towards reclaiming your health and becoming the authority of your own health on what's actually going on inside of this physical vessel and what all these cells that come together are doing. So let me pull this up for y'all real quick. Let's see, we got that study up right now, and then I'm going to pull this next one right here. All right, so this is the case report right here. It's called Brain Over Body, a study on the willful regulation of autonomic function during cold exposure. So this will be tied to the other studies on the topic. Let me see if I can get that good for y'all, because that is a long abstract. Hey, thank you very much, Adam. I appreciate that. Looking forward to it as well. Let's hop on sooner than later. All right, so this is a study. It's about the Wim Hof method and the endocannabinoid system's regulation. It talks about other systems of the human body as well in regards to the Wim Hof method, but for the sake of this summary, I wanted to focus in on the endocannabinoid system, which I did, but as we'll see, I am talking about all of it. So let me pull this up for you so you can read it all. All right, so here's the abstract right here in the background. I'm going to make this a little smaller for y'all so you can read some of it because it is very long. So like I said, if you ever want to go and read these things by yourself, you are more than welcome to. And all you have to do is go to the Specker Library, or as you see right here, you can just Google Brain Over Body, a study on the willful regulation of autonomic function during cold exposure, and type in PubMed next to it, and you will get the study, most likely. All right, here it is. So this is a real fun study. Wim Hof, if you're listening right now and you don't know who Wim Hof is, I would highly recommend looking into the Wim Hof method and go on YouTube, watch a few of the Wim Hof documentaries, and you will learn about the powers of the human body. And when you take it to the next step of how is this even possible? Can this be proven scientifically? The answer is yes, it can. And that is what we are going to be talking about today. So let's see. Let's see. All right. All right. Where is it? You know, the Twitter, I wish on Twitter you can't read chats. So if you're watching on Twitter, I'm sorry that I can't see your chats right now. If you're joining us anywhere else, say what's up. If you're watching this right now, leave a comment, like this video, and listen to me talk about the endocannabinoid system and Wim Hof for the next few minutes. And once I'm done with this, I am going to hop off and going to hop back on very soon. I'm streaming multiple times a week on multiple platforms. You can check me out on Rumble, YouTube, Twitter at Amir Zen Official. So, Wim Hof, who is also known as the Iceman, became well known for his ability to withstand prolonged exposure to extreme cold. His technique, called the Wim Hof Method, involves a combination of forced breathing, cold exposure, and meditation. And I hope one day in the near future that we'll be doing breathwork sessions together on stream with y'all in the chat. That'll be awesome. Goals. So, this 2018 case study investigates the mechanisms that allow practitioners of the Wim Hof method to tolerate cold exposure. One key finding of the study is the possible role of the endocannabinoid system in mediating the effects of the Wim Hof method, which plays a crucial role in regulating pain, stress, and mood. Remember, the endocannabinoid system is the master regulatory system for nearly all human physiology. The activation of brain areas associated with stress-induced analgesia and self-reflection, as well as the release of endocannabinoids, may contribute to the Wim Hof method's ability to decrease sensitivity to cold exposure and promote a feeling of euphoria and well-being. This finding suggests that the Wim Hof method might allow practitioners to assert greater control over key components of the autonomous system by modulating the endocannabinoid system, which is the master regulatory system of the human body. So if you're listening and you're saying, how could I go internally to prove what I'm doing and how I'm controlling this? And how could I go deeper? And what biological system could I primarily focus on as the root to excel at these practices? To investigate the mechanisms behind Wim Hof's abilities, researchers conducted multimodal imaging assessments of both his brain and his body using fMRI and PET and CT imaging. Their findings suggest that the Wim Hof method activates the periaqueductal gray, PAG, which is a primary control center for modulating pain and control stimuli. This activation may initiate a stress-induced analgesic response, a pain relief response, mediated by the release of endogenous opioids and cannabinoids. So this is where it gets interesting. So they're talking about the opioids that are naturally releasing in your body as well. And many people, for example, believe that the endorphin theory of euphoria, but as we now know with newer science, it's the endocannabinoid theory of euphoria has stronger research on it. But as we see here, this showed a release in both. Moreover, the study showed that endocannabinoids such as anandamide, remember we talked about anandamide before, which is one of the main endocannabinoids, are released from the periaqueductal gray during Wim Hof method practice, which promotes a feeling of euphoria and well-being. So you see, they're attributing the euphoric aspect not to the opioids. They're saying the endocannabinoids right here. And it says the observed activation of the periaqueductal gray might suggest the release of endogenous opioids and cannabinoids that mediate decreased sensitivity to cold exposure. Now, I wrote this in the summary, but in reality, I don't know if these scientists know about the endocannabinoid theory of euphoria debunking the uh, endorphin or opioid system theory of euphoria. So maybe they didn't know. So that's why it's saying both of these. But and that's decreased sensitivity to cold exposure. So, they're saying that, yeah. So the activation of the endocannabinoid system also inhibits inflammation, which explains the decreased immune response associated with Wim Hof method practice. Additionally, the study found that the Wim Hof method resulted in increased sympathetic innervation and glucose consumption in the intercostal muscles, generating heat that dissipates to lung tissue and warms circulating blood in the pulmonary capillaries. This suggests that the method may also affect the regulation of body temperature through the endocannabinoid system. And we do know that the endocannabinoid system regulates body temperature in research. The activation of the periaqueductal gray region of the brain during the practice of the Wim Hof method may lead to increased release of endocannabinoids, which in turn may modulate the body's response to cold exposure and contribute to the observed effects of the autonomic nervous system. Additionally, the study found that the Wim Hof method engages higher order cortical areas that are unique uniquely sorry high order cortical areas that are uniquely associated with self-reflection and sustained attention in the presence of averse external stimuli such as cold exposure. So to continue on, let's see, just checking the chats and everything. So the study sheds light on the underlying mechanisms that allow Wim Hof to withstand prolonged exposure to extreme cold. So how could Wim Hof climb Mount Everest in his shorts and do it successfully? How could the human body do this? Well, the endocannabinoid system, y'all. The Wim Hof method appears to activate the endocannabinoid system, which may mediate decreased sensitivity to cold exposure and promote a feeling of euphoria and well being. The study's findings provide evidence for the importance of the brain in mediating the effects of the Wim Hof method on cold exposure and suggest that the Wim Hof method may offer a unique approach to developing control over the nervous system and the endocannabinoid system with potential therapeutic applications. So, again, the study title is Brain Over Body, a study on the willful regulation of the autonomic function during cold exposure. So, that all being said, if you are watching right now, we just finished up for the night. Let's see, been here for about 1 hour. Let's remove that. Boom. And like I said, I'm going to be here live streaming multiple times a week on everything related to health and politics. Please follow me at Amir Zen Official and check out my company at speckerhealth.com. And you can find the link to Specker in the description of this video. And at speckerhealth.com, you can check out the latest Specker products. You can check out the new Specker Health Assessment. And you can also check out the Specker Library and learn more about these exact studies that we were just talking about tonight. I will see you all soon. I love you, and make sure to stay as happy and healthy as possible in this world, and use this video and the information that you learned here tonight to reclaim your health and be the main authority in your own health. Peace and love, y'all. I'll see you soon.